Okay, what's up, folks? Welcome back, and I just want to give you guys an update of what's been going on. So, basically, I've ordered a lot of parts. It's almost been like Christmas around here. So, I ordered some 3-inch exhausts because, as we left off before, we had to increase the amount of space in between the passenger side pipes, so that way we have more fluidity of the exhaust coming out and it didn't just dump into each other. So got past that, fired it up, as you know, sounded great, and so now we're flowing. But I have to continue that exhaust out through the rear. So I ordered this kit, and this kit is really cool, stainless, and it's got different curves in it already. So that was like for one side, and then you got this 90 degree right here that feeds into it, and then it also has the widening of the pipe so that way it can fit into it. It gets really, I think it's a cool little starter kit or whatever. So anyway, with just these two out of it, I'm able to figure out the bends and the curves that I needed to get down to the bottom, but in cutting it. So the goal is to have the exhaust dump out at the bottom here, like right at the corner, opposed to the top, because obviously the mufflers are right underneath the deck lid right there, and just the bends and the curve, that ain't gonna work. So to keep in the theme of proper flow, because that was the whole point, it'll dump out at the bottom, probably recessed a little bit because the clamshell has to come back down, which in the end of this game, that's gonna change. That's not even gonna be like that. But for right now, because as I told you, I plan on doing a twin turbo application, and for drivability now, I'll set up to where it's functional, so that way as you access the clamshell design, the exhaust wouldn't be hit down there, and still should sound good. And like I said, it's clearance, and again, this is I want to say a quick fix. Aesthetically, it should be pleasing, but it certainly has to be functional, because that was the whole goal, is get everything to flow. So that's the goal here with those two. So before I start cutting, because I really want to try to do it myself, to be honest with you, went down to Home Depot and saw a welder. You can rent a welder for like $40. I want to say a day, but it might be for, I want to say like maybe 4 hours, because some of that stuff was like a 4-hour segment of time. So, I think those things are like a couple $100. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like, just to try it, or at least rent it, and if I cut these, I can tack it in place and then take it to a muffler shop and have it welded or whatever. But I really want to try to tackle this myself. So got those pieces. I just kind of did a mock-up to figure out if that'll work. So my next step now is to go track down a noodle. Get one of those 3-inch noodles that you swim with, because I know they come in different thicknesses, because I've used them in part of my fabrication build before. And shit, for $5 or $1 or whatever they cost, depending on the time of the year, I guess, for summer, but we're just getting out of summer, they still should be some available. So I'm gonna try to track some down in a 99-cent store, to Five Below or something like that, and get one. And if I can track down one that's 3 inches, then I can twist it in the exact way that I need it to come out, and then I'll probably glass it, use fiberglass and resin, and glass it in the way that it needs to make its way out. And then all I got to do is cut that to match it, and I'm all good. So that is the goal with the exhaust. My next step, I didn't have a fuel neck. Now, this was kind of an experience too. So I went to Pick Apart. Pick Apart is not the cheapest place on the block, I learned. So basically, a fuel neck average cost is about $30 for an average car. The cheapest one I found, I think, was like 27 or something like that. I don't know if it included free delivery or not. Well, let's just say like $30. So I paid $24, picked it myself, obviously. No delivery, had it that day. Now, what I found too was the neck is what I'm saying, for the fuel pipe gets really, really thin right here on all the new cars. This one is off of like an old, I want to say a Chevy truck. So all the older vehicles have the bigger ones that are roughly about 2 inches. You got an inch on each digit of your fingers, what I use as a reference all the time. Little side note. So basically you can measure it like that. That's 2 inches. And usually off and running. And then you get the little extra spigot on the side here, to release the pressure as the fuel is going down into the tank. And then the air is pushing out and it comes out. And so you have that. This one's a little bit elongated too. Some of them have very thin lines right here. It's not as big. So I'm thinking you probably can't fuel up as fast because you're not moving fuel in as fast and you're not putting the air out as fast. So I think that's probably the caveat between having a new one or an old one. And then the flange up here at the top. This flange can vary too. So you want to make sure that it fits. Now this one is going to have to be cut down. You can see the little red rag right there. Show you. See the little red rag right there. That's basically right at the top of the fuel neck. So, I mean, of the fuel pipe that goes down to the fuel tank. That's obviously right behind the seat. So this is going to have to be cut down till about here, right? So the rest of this will just be blown away and then it'll fit into the pipe and then we're good to go. And then that bolts to the back side. This is obviously the top of the rear deck. And then I've got the outer portion. Open that up. I can't do it with one hand. Anyway, that twists and it comes, so you see that. And then it comes open. And that's going to be a perfect fit. I like it. It's going to match my rims. And I think it'll flow pretty good. So that is that resolved. I've got a lot of other goodies that came. It was like a little mini Christmas around here. I ordered a lot of electronic stuff. I got my brake light sensors, right, or the sending unit. I also ordered some tail lights. Well, at least the bulbs anyway, with different sockets to match the bulbs. But they don't work. Got to go back. And the sockets, well, that came damaged. And then the sockets came and they didn't work. So that's got to go back. But no big deal. Not jumping up and down about that. But I did get my, because like I said, I got a lot of goodies here. I got some hexagon lights to go up on the garage ceiling. Excited about that. And then, of course, I've got, what I got? Oh, let me backtrack. I also got all this wire. I went to Home Depot and got all my other wire, for the tail lights and stuff like that. But while I was there, I was able to get all of this. Because sometimes, you got to kind of read a car and what the last owner did. A lot of cars got music systems in them. And they get repoed and whatever. And this is what I learned, right? So when you check out, they charge you based on the different size wire you might have, right? So it doesn't matter about length. So this is a 0 gauge speaker wire. And you want to get the power from the battery inside the cockpit or inside the car or to the trunk or whatever. This is your highway, right? So that way you have more power and then you distribute it to different amps once you get it to where you're going. Now, these are 3 different sizes, right? So you got a 0 gauge. I forget what this is, but it's a little bit thicker. And then this is a little bit thinner. I'm only going to be using max 2 amps if I get a 5 channel, then 1 amp. But my point was, I got all this for like 20 bucks, okay? She didn't realize that these are 2 different gauge sizes. So I got charged for the 3 different cables. So 1, 2, and 3. And I thought that was pretty good. This cable was actually in actually all of this. No, let me scratch that. This cable was actually in an Escalade. And so this ran the length of the Escalade. And I tried to get it all. I had to cut it. But the half of it was stuck under the seat. So when they bolt the seat back down, they pinched it. And I couldn't pull this out for nothing. So I could have gotten another probably, 4 feet of this. Actually more than that because it went under the hood. So I could have probably got another 6 or 7 feet of this. And 0 gauge is probably correct me if I'm wrong, maybe $3 a foot. So, I mean, I really could have come up. But To use it here, I probably don't even need like a 0 gauge. I thought about using this in my Impala maybe. Here I can get away with this one. Like I said, I forget what gauge this is. It's not telling me on here. Should though. It's not telling me on here. But this is plenty highway for me to get power from the battery, which is just up front, to inside the car, and then distribute the power to whatever amps that I want. So I got, you know, plenty of length for that. But anyway, I thought that was a really cool find. And again, it's just looking out for the vehicles that might have stuff like that. And they got decent speakers too. I came across some Polk Audios, but I always look them up on the fly to find out, well, what does it cost brand new versus buying it used? You don't know if it's going to work, if it's been rained on, stuff like that. So just a FYI on that one. So had a lot of goodies between the electrical, my fuel neck, my pick apart experience. I got my exhaust over there. This is a really cool kit, like I said, to be able to come across. I also have my wire harness. Let me see if I can find that for you guys. Got it. I hope it's not upside down. But I got my wire harness, and I bought these a couple of times for the Porsche. But I got the wire harness for the high beams. So this is an all-inclusive wire harness where you have your positive, negative, and then you can have a switch right there, and it lights up to let you know when your lights are on, and then of course when you turn them off, so that way you don't leave them on. So got that too. That's gonna be a separate switch from the switch that we have on the steering wheel that turns the regular lights on. So with that said, and that is the steering wheel. So top right hand corner is the actual switch for the headlights. So that's a dead man, well, not a dead man switch, is a start stop switch, I think you call it. So you press it on, stays on till you turn it back off. Dead man is just you got to hold the button. But anyway, they didn't have another switch for high beam on the steering wheel, and here in California you really don't use high beams, but I think for inspection or to be safe, you got to have some high beams, and this comes with 4 lights anyway, so I'm going to run a separate wire harness for that. But in case, we've got everything wired up, we know it works. So we're going to have signal lights. These are really nice and bright LEDs. Those are the 2-inch, right? Bam, look at that, 2-inch that fits in the socket. Somewheres the top right. So it's a 2-inch socket, so we'll be good to go on that. And then of course we have the regular lights. This is going to be the regular low beam, and then your high beams are somewhere around here. But anyway, all my wires are Mickey Mouse right now, just so I can make sure that everything works, because I was able to flush out the fact that I had some faulty light bulbs. So I got some light bulb replacements, and then I had to figure out what's ground, what's positive, and things of that nature. Next thing is length, so that way we can wire it up and put it into this front clamshell that is removable, which also puts me in a situation where I really want to get back to the thoughts of probably putting hinges on here, because I don't want to have to disconnect the lights in order to take this off to have access to whatever I need to do here. I get brain freeze when I think about how things are engineered like that, and it just kind of drives me nuts. So my next step right now, that I have kind of a good flow and understanding. Also, we got our horn over there, which sounds really, really nice actually. Which I don't understand, maybe you guys can help me out with this. When you bolt the horn down, it takes away the volume and the clarity of the horn. I don't understand that. But if you just run power to it as it sits, it's nice and loud and clear. So I'm literally considering zip tying it right there, so that way it's not bolted down and I can get some nice clarity. But I don't understand why it changes the sound and the vibration when it's bolted down. But anyway, that was just kind of a side note. My other agenda is to get the lift kit functional. Right now it's not going up. So got the lift kit in the front, everything is installed, but I got to run power to it and figure out why we're not going up. So that's the next big thing, or the mystery to me. I got to figure that out, and then I got to install my windshield wiper. So there's no videos that I can see about installing a windshield wiper on a Superlite. I know it goes about here, I think, from the videos that I have seen. So I got to figure that out and make sure, you know, everything is proper. Also got to install my windshield. But those are the next two big things. And I think once I've kind of passed that, I will be okay for like starting to assemble things, get the windshield in. The exhaust should be good to go. Light should work on everything. And I haven't figured out if I want to do the actuators for the doors. It's just for safety reasons. How are you going to get out, you know, if things go down? So not really fond of the thought of taking my door latches out and going with an actuated door. I just don't know. I have shocks. I got plenty of shocks. I got shocks down there that I can use for the movement of the door. I think sure those shocks will be able to support it. I got options back here. Those are all my different shocks that I use from fabricating before. This is a reservoir for the cleaning fluid for a windshield. It's got its this is back when I was getting like 50% off from Pick Apart, but I think this is out of a Corvette actually. But it's got the solenoid on it already for the distribution of the fluid. So I kind of like that. I ain't paid little or nothing for that. But in any case, that's where we are so far. So I'm having a ball. I'll hope to get a lot of things installed in the next couple of days. I got some things in front of this project. But I have been accumulating a lot in the last week. So that way we can get things installed and get things going. But thanks for your attention, and leave me some comments. Let me know what you guys think, some ideas along the way. If I was wrong about any pricing, if you see something in the video that you think needs some attention or have an idea about, question about, let me know in the comments, and I'll get back to you guys. Thanks.